Dreams are a place where we're at the center of the creation, and it's where our thoughts and our feelings manifest instantly in that realm. So it has incredible potential for us, and experiences that we can have that we couldn't have in this waking state. But the key to this experience is becoming conscious of it while it's happening. And so that is the art of lucid dreaming.
Who are you not to be great? You, the imagination of a brilliant child and the powers of an ancient god. Who are you to be ordinary? You, who can rescind life or raise the dead. Who are you to be afraid? You, who can serve as judge and jury while hoarding infinite lives. Who are you to be a slave to the past? You, who can travel time like the oceans and rewrite history with a single word. Who are you to be anonymous? You, whose name should be spoken in reverent tones or in terrified whispers. And who are you to deny greatness? If you would deny to yourself, you deny to the entire world. And we will not be denied.
So when we go to bed at night, it's much like we have a treasure chest at the foot of our bed. And every night we go to bed and it's there. And when we wake up in the morning, we can choose to ignore it and just go about our day and go on our normal routine. But if you cultivate a dream practice, then you get access to this treasure chest and you get to see what's inside, the treasures that nourish your life, the dreams that you have upon awakening. But in order to access this treasure chest and have vivid and meaningful dreams in your life, there are 7 things that you need to know. The first thing that you need to know is understanding how the circadian rhythm works and when you're dreaming at night. How do dreams work and when are they the most vivid? We dream between 1 and 3 hours a night. And during this time, this is broken up throughout the night in what are called ultradian rhythms. These rhythms are 90 minutes long. So every night you go through a 90-minute sleep cycle. At the end of this cycle is when you experience REM sleep. And each of these REM sleep periods get longer until the last sleep period in the morning is when you experience the longest REM period, and it is the ideal time to be attempting to get lucid and having meaningful, vivid, and memorable dreams. That's the first thing that you need to know, is to understand when you're dreaming and when how to get the most out of your dream cycles. The second thing is to understand that since the last REM period is the most vivid and meaningful, then one of the most common practices for increasing dream vividness and the odds of getting lucid is to wake up about 2 hours before you need to wake up in the morning. And at that time you bring yourself to a full awakeness and then go back to bed with the intention to dream. So you're entering that last REM cycle, that last dream period, with a higher state of awareness and a prepared mind to have vivid and meaningful dream. This technique is commonly known as wake back to bed, and you can try this technique anytime in which you're able to sleep enough and have a dream practice in the morning. The third thing that you need to know is that it is a good practice, or it's very beneficial to record your experiences and to occasionally share them with people. The act of recording an experience can be as simple as writing down a title or a few sentences in a dream journal. This act of recording not only allows you to remember the dream that you just had, but it strengthens your recall ability for future dreams. And that is the most important reason why you should have a dream journal and write down your experiences. The fourth thing that you need to know is once you're having dream experiences, you need to be able to determine at any moment whether you're awake or dreaming. This is called a reality test. And there are quite a few reality tests you can do to determine if you're awake or dreaming. But the most important thing is to accept the possibility that you could be dreaming right now or at any time, even though you may be completely convinced that you're awake. The most effective reality test that is out there and was discovered and published by the Lucidity Institute is called the text rereading technique. And this technique is when you find text wherever you are and then read the text and then look away from the text and reread it. If you're awake, the text will always stay the same. But if you're in a dream, the text will change. There's a very high likelihood, because the moment you look away from the text no longer exists. And when you look back at the text, your mind has to recreate it, and it almost never creates the same sentence again. So it's a very reliable reality test, and it's easy and quick to do when you're awake. But the key to all reality tests is to make sure you actually sincerely do them when you're awake, particularly if anything bizarre happens. And that includes if you're watching a movie or just notice something that looks a little bit strange. It's good practice to do it. A backup reality test can be to test gravity. When you're in a dream, it's quite easy to float or to fly. But when you're awake, it's impossible to just go in the upward direction for longer than a few seconds. So another reality test is you can attempt to float upwards. It's not as effective as the text rereading, but it's simple and easy, and at least you're testing reality and getting in the habit of accepting that you could be dreaming. The next thing that you need to know is understanding how short-term memory affects the dreaming experience. When you fall asleep at night, you no longer store long-term memories. That's why people don't remember all their dreams, and some people even believe that they don't dream. It's because what's taking place is only being stored in short-term memory and not being transferred to long-term memory. This is important to know for two reasons. One, when you wake up in the morning, you have access to your long-term memory and can store your dreams at that time. So the act of dream recall is taking the dream from your short-term memory and putting it in your long-term memory upon awakening. The second reason this is really important to know is because the moment that you get lucid, the amount of time that you have is the amount that you can store in your short-term memory. And that's about a minute or two. So when you get lucid, you have about a minute or two to have experiences before you need to wake up to recall the entire experience. If you stayed in the dream for longer than your short-term memory can remember, then you will not remember how the dream started, and oftentimes the beginning of a lucid dream is the most profound and vivid and memorable. So the best lucid dreams are ones in which you get lucid, you accept the fact that you only have a minute or two to have an experience, and then have the dream and wake up and recall it from the beginning. This leads us to the next thing that you need to know, which is, now that you know that you will have a lucid dream in the future, you should predetermine what you want to experience with it and keep it within a minute or two. So you can think about what type of experiences you want to have in a lucid dream. And as you have lucid dreams, this dream goal will change, because you'll find that the dreams have certain limitations, and you have to keep the goal within an actual completable task. A good goal to have when you start out is to fly. And another aspect of having a goal is also to include that you want to fly for a period of time and wake up and recall it. So the last thing that you need to remember in order to have vivid and lucid dreams is dream stabilization. it's common for people when they first become lucid to immediately wake up from the experience. So this is because the dream world is inherently unstable. It requires you to stay engaged with it. The moment you stop and contemplate or question the state of your body in bed, the dream will fade away. So there are two good dream stabilization techniques you can use. The first one is to rub your hands together. And you can do this the moment you get lucid. This is a dream stabilization technique because what's happening is your dream hands are rubbing together. This keeps your brain engaged in the dream world and the dream senses going. It gives you a moment to take into account that you're in the dream, and you can continue from there. You can also rub your hands together anytime the dream starts to fade. So it is a very effective dream stabilization technique. Another technique you can use if you're in the dream and it begins to fade is you can spin your whole body. This is called dream spinning, and you just spin like a top. And what tends to happen is whatever scenario you're in will continue to fade, but once you stop spinning, the dream will come back vivid and usually in a new environment. And the act of spinning engages the sense of your dream body movement, so it keeps you engaged with the dream, and it's very effective in keeping you stable. So those are the 7 things that you can know to help you get lucid and have more vivid dreams in your life. So when you go to bed and you have this treasure chest waiting for you, you can tap into it, and it will reveal to you lessons and stories and messages about your life that can enrich you, and they will often come in symbols that may not always be apparent at first, but hold significance and can help you in your life.
You could stay.
What an idea. A crazy, mad, wonderful idea. But I can't. There are questions I have to answer. Things I have to do. Be back again before you know it.
You won't remember me.
Of course I will. How could I forget?
If you'd like to learn more about lucid dreaming and have other tips, you can visit the website youcanluciddream.com.